Hi everyone, Crafty Unicorn here. Today we're making this adorable cat-eared beanie. It's super beginner friendly and I'll walk you through it stitch by stitch. If you're as excited as I am, please give me a quick like and subscribe and we'll jump right into the tutorial. What we're going to do first is we're going to run through a quick tutorial for anyone that needs to know how to do the slip knot, chain stitch, single crochet and double crochet stitches. If you already know all these, feel free to just skip right ahead to the start of the pattern. We're going to start off with a slip knot. I'm going to take the yarn at the end, hold it in your right hand between your finger and your thumb, wrap it around 2 fingers, hold the yarn, both strands, twist your fingers, tuck the yarn between your fingers. You see that? Grab that with your fingers and pull it through. I'll do that again for you. Take the yarn at the end, hold it in your right hand between your finger and your thumb, wrap it around 2 fingers, hold the yarn, both strands, twist your fingers, tuck the yarn between your fingers. You see that? Grab that with your fingers and pull it through. And there you've got your loop for your slip knot. Pop your hook in, pull on the working one, not the tail end. So if you pull on the working yarn, it should tighten up for you. And there's your slip knot on your hook. Feel free to practice this many times as you need to. And then we'll move on to the next step, which will be a chain stitch. Right, now you've got your slip knot all done. Hopefully you've managed to get to grips with that. We're going to be doing a chain stitch. So you need to hold on to the slip knot with your pointer finger just to keep that in place as you wrap the working yarn, that's the yarn that's still attached to your ball. You need to wrap that up and over your hook. Make sure you keep a hold of your slip knot as you're doing this, and I find it easier if I hold on to the tail end of the yarn, which is the easiest option for me. And while it's on your hook, you need to just twist your hook round so it grabs that bit of yarn and then pull it through that hole on your hook. Again, you need to hold that stitch that's on your hook just to keep it secure. Wrap the yarn over your hook, hold on to the bottom of the yarn that you're making the stitches on, twist your hook a little so you can grab that yarn and pull it through that stitch that's on your hook. And we just keep repeating this over and over for however many stitches the pattern you're using needs. I'll do that again with you. Hold the stitches on the hook, yarn over, twist your hook a little and pull it through that loop that's on your hook. One more time. Hold the yarn on your hook. Pop the yarn over your hook. Hold the stitches that you're making. Twist and pull through. I will do it one more time for you, and that'll be 5 stitches that we've made together. So hold the yarn that's on the hook, wrap the yarn over, hold on to the stitches that you're making, and twist a little to hook the yarn and pull it through, and that's another stitch done. So you just need to keep practicing this. I've done 10 chain stitches. I want you to do that too, because now we're going to start making a single crochet stitch. So I've got 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. The loop that's on your hook doesn't count as a stitch. That's just your working loop. So to do a single crochet when working into a chain, there is several different ways of doing this, and this is how I do it. And when I do patterns and things like that, this is the way that I will work it 99% of the time. So you got your chain stitch, and you see those V's? That's the front of the stitches. And when I use a foundation chain, I turn mine over, and you see those back ridges? Yep. They are the stitches that I work into when I work into my foundation chains. So we've got 10 of them. There's one right underneath your hook there, where your working yarn comes out. We've got one there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then one right on the end makes 10. So the way that I do it is you chain another one, keep your fingers or keep an eye on that stitch there, because that's the one you're going to be working in. So we're going to chain another one, and then put your hook in to that loop that you see there. So it's just, you're just going to have that one, you're going to go through that one loop, so you end up with 1, 2 loops on your hook. And then I want you to hold those, yarn over, twist your hook and pull it through one loop. Again, you've still got 2 loops on your hook. What you want to do now is hold those stitches with your finger, put your yarn over your hook, hold your work and pull that yarn through both of those loops, and that is your very first single crochet. So I will run through that again with you. Remember, we're working through those back bumps, so we want to put a hook directly into that bump on the back. So then we've got 2 loops on the hook. You're going to hold those loops with your finger, wrap the yarn over, grab your working stitches, twist your hook and pull it through 1, hold your loops on your hook again, yarn over and pull through both of those loops. So that will be your second single crochet. Let's do it again. Put your hook into that back bump, hold both those stitches on your hook, put your yarn over and then pull through 1, hold both of those on your hook again, yarn over and pull through both. That's another one. Working into the chain stitches is probably the most difficult part to get to grips with on crochet. So long as you're not working with a really long chain, you should get used to it pretty quick. This is why I suggest about 10 stitches to get to grips with it. So do 10 stitches, work 10 single crochets, and then you're going to get to grips with how to work into a chain stitch. So next one, put your hook into that bump on the back, hold both those stitches on your hook, put your yarn over and pull through 1, hold both stitches, yarn over and pull through 2. And if I take my hook out, you'll be able to see that we've got 4 stitches that we've made there. Yep, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's another 6 stitches to work into. I'll do one more with you and then I'll let you get on and practice. Go into the back bump of that, put that on your hook. You've got 2 loops on your hook. Hold those 2 loops, yarn over and gently twist and pull through 1 loop. Hold those 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and gently twist and pull through both loops. And that's your single crochet. This time we're going to be doing a double crochet. So I've got 10 again. But what we need to do when we're doing a double crochet is we add 1 more chain. Yep. And then turn your work so you can see those back bumps. So we should have 11 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the one under that working yarn, 11. What we're going to do this time is work into the 3rd chain from the hook. So for double crochet, before you work into any stitches, you need to yarn over. So put your hook into the yarn, just the working yarn, and put it over your hook, and just hold. I'll do that again for you. I might be working a bit fast. So hold the loop on your hook with your finger, wrap the yarn over your hook, so you've got that stitch that you're holding, and then another one just wrapped over your hook. And now you should be able to see those back bumps a little bit more, so you're not working into the first one or the second one. You're going to work into the third one from the hook, and we're going into the same place and the same stitch as we did with the single crochets. So get your hook and push it into that one loop on the back. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. You want to hold onto those loops, yarn over, and with this one you want to grab onto your working stitches like before, but you've got to not just pull through one, you've got to pull through 2 stitches on your hook, and then you've got 2 stitches on your hook. Hold those 2 stitches, yarn over, and then hold your working yarn and pull through 2 stitches on your hook, and that will be your first double crochet. Now these 2 chains here are a double crochet 2. That's how we make the first stitch and get the height for most patterns. So do that again. Hold the loop on your hook with your finger, wrap the yarn over your hook. You can hold that with your finger as well if you think that makes it more secure. And then you're going into that back bump on your chain stitch. You hold your working stitches. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Hold them again if you want to. Wrap the yarn over your hook. Turn your hook and pull it through 2 loops on your hook. You'll end up with 2 loops left on your hook. Hold those loops, yarn over, and pull through 2. And that's another double crochet done. So we'll do another one. Hold onto the yarn on your hook, yarn over. You can hold that one as well if you like. Find that back loop, pop your hook into it, hold all those on your hook if you need to, yarn over, pull through 2, hold those, yarn over, and pull through 2. So so far we've got 1, 2, 3, and those 2 chains at the beginning makes 4. I'll do one more with you, and that'll make 5 stitches in total, and then there's another 5 for you to work into. So hold the loop on the hook, yarn over, hold those 2 loops, find that back bump, put that on your hook too, and you've got 3 loops on your hook. Hold those, yarn over, hold your working yarn, stitches, and pull through to, oh, I'm getting stuck. That's 1, 2. Hold those on your hook, yarn over, and pull through those last 2 on your hook. So that'll be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should have 5 bumps left on your hook. Not on your hook, sorry. 5 bumps left on your chain stitches to work another 5 double crocheted into. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That very last one is the 5th one. So I need to practice those, and then you should be ready to start working on your cat-eared hat. Right, let's get started. Start with a slip knot, and we need to chain a length that measures approximately 8.5 inches. So usually takes me between 28 to about 32 depending on my tension, but however many it takes you is fine, so long as we've got about 8.5 inches. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, I've done 30 chains. Let's see how much that measures. Give it a quick measure. Yeah, that's close enough to me. A little bit under, but about 8.5 inches. That's good for me. So you'll measure yours, make sure you've got 8.5 inches, and then take note of how many chains you did in your initial chain. So mine's 30. What you're going to do now is you're going to chain 1 more, and then add a stitch marker into that chain. What we're going to do now is we're going to work from the 3rd chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do double crochet. 1, 2, 3 into that chain stitch. And there's your double crochet. The reason we marked that stitch is because that is going to count as your first double crochet. So that is your stitch, and then you want to double crochet all the way along your chain until you get to the end. So I initially had 30, so I should have 30 double crochet stitches including my mark stitch at the end of this. So that's my second. Three. 4. 5. 6. 5. Just coming to my last stitch now, and yeah, can be a little bit fiddly, this one, because it's right at the end, but you need to make sure that you're getting into it, working into it, that you're not forgetting it. That's why we must count those initial stitch chains, so you know exactly how many you're going to be working into, and your hat will stay consistent sizing all the way through. So that's my 30th. Take this out, give it a little bit of a stretch, get all those stitches laying nice, and then we're going to measure this again, because hopefully, if all things have worked out right, this should measure around about 9 inches, which is the length that we wanted. So it always stretches out a little bit more when you work your stitches into it. So yeah, look, just under 9 inches, but I was just under 8.5, so that's fine by me, because I'm going to put a single crochet border around the edge at the end as well, so that will make it perfect. Right, so now what we're going to do is continue on to row 2. So we're going to turn as work, and we're going to chain 2. This does count as your first stitch. What we're going to do is we're going to pop a stitch marker in that second chain, or should I say the first chain from the hook. Again, pop a stitch marker in there. This is just to make sure that at the end of every row, we're going to be working into that very last stitch properly. Right, and because this counts as his first double crochet, we're not working into that first gap. We're going to be working into the second one, because that's his first one. So yarn over. What we're going to be doing this time though is working into the back loop of all the stitches. So that's your first one. We're not working into that first one because that's your chain stitches. The second one, and then we're going to be working in not the front but the back loop. So put your hook in, yarn over, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and pull through 2, and we're going to be doing that all the way across. So we'll get going. Remember to count your stitches. So we've got first one, which is marked, 2, 3, 4, 5, and remember we're working into the back loop only on every single stitch. Coming to the last couple of stitches, so that's 29 for me, and then these are the mark stitches that we did in the initial chain, and what we're going to do is work into both loops of that mark stitch. So just remember, on every mark stitch you're working through both loops. So there you go, both loops along the hook, and there we go. Double crochet, and that's the second row done. There we go. At the end of that row, lay it flat, check that everything looks okay. For the row 3 and every row thereafter, we're going to be doing the exact same, and we'll do that until we reach 21 inches, and then once we're at 21 inches we'll join it. So I'll do the third row with you now, and then I shall leave you to continue until you get to 21 inches. Mine usually takes around about between 38 and 40 rows to get to my 21 inches. So let's get on with that. So we can remove the stitch marker from below because we don't need that now, but we're going to be using it again in a second, so keep it with you. Turn your work and then chain 2, and then pop your stitch marker in there. Ooh, make sure you get it right. And then that's your first stitch, so we don't work into that first one. Turn your work so you can see the front loops and the back loops. Don't work into that first one, working into the back loop of the second one. So yarn over, into the second one, into the back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then that's the second stitch. So the marked one is the first one, and then 2, and you need to make sure you count so you've got the same amount of stitches at the end of every row. That's 2 for me, 3, 4, 5. Right, just coming to my last couple of stitches on row 3, 29, and the last one is the mark stitch, and we're going to go through both loops of that mark stitch for my 30th. Oh, can be a little tricky. You can remove the stitch marker before you do it, but I think that's what I'm going to have to do. It's a little bit tighter, this one. As long as you make sure that you're going through both loops on it. There we go, look, both loops are on the hook. And that's my stitch number 30. Right, so we're looking pretty consistent all the way through. And yeah, we're just going to keep going until you've reached 21 inches, because the average head circumference is around about 22, but this does have a good stretch in it, so you don't want it to be too oversized, because it won't fit on the head properly and you won't get your cat ear sticking out. So we go for 21 inches in length, so we're just going to keep going until we reach that number. So I will leave you to get on with that. Right, now we've got us 21 inch long piece, we can move on to seaming it up the sides. We'll just give it a quick measure so you know that mine measures 21. It won't fit in the camera completely unravelled, so I will measure the half and then just times it by 2 for you, and you can see that we're at the right measurements. There we go, we're about 10.5. So that does us for 21 inches in total. What we're going to do now is insert us hook back into our loop, pop your work in a more comfortable position, and we're going to seam this part with this part on his work. Right, now what we're going to do is, I might zoom you in a little bit for this so you get to see the stitches better. we're going to work single crochets all the way across the top. And the way that we're going to do it is we're going to work one stitch into the big gap and then one stitch into that small gap there. Let me get a needle so I can point it out. So we're going one stitch into here and then one stitch into here, and we're working through both sides of the work again. So one in the big hole, one in the small on both sides, and then again one in the big hole. Sometimes the smaller holes are a little bit tougher to see because it's coming from the opposite side where you turn your work, but it is there, look. It's the small hole there, and then the big hole and the small hole, big, small. So that's what we're going to do. You can work over any yarn ends that you've got, or you can leave them for later and just sew them in once you're done. I will be working over them because that's how I prefer to do it. So one in the big, just single crocheting again, and then one in the small, and we're going through both sides, look. And then big holes, one side, two sides, and then again, a little tougher to see this one, but it's there, look, just there, and then a little one just there. And big hole, small holes. Just check every now and then to make sure that you're going through both sides, especially on the smaller ones, because that can be a little bit more difficult to judge whether you've got both sides. Going through the big one and then small there. Move my yarn end out of the way. Make sure that we're going through the small hole on that side. There we go. Oh, didn't turn out very well, did it? And then into the small one on that side. There we go. The big ones are always simpler to do. Smalls. And you just need to do that all the way across the top, and then when we get to the end I'll meet you back there and we're going to do 2 single crochets in the very last one to finish it off. Right, we're just coming to our last couple of stitches. Let's have a small one and then a big one, and then there is it's just the one small stitch there right at the end. I'm going to go through that. I'm going to do 2 single crochets in there just to finish it off, because then it curves it towards the end again. And then chain 1, grab your scissors, cut your yarn and pull closed it. And there you go. There's the hat all seamed up. Right, this is the inside of the hat. What we're going to do is weave in our end. Weave in however you like to weave in. I like to go through these single crochets that I've just created grabbing under quite a few, pulling through so that's nice and snug in the corner, and then I just weave it through 2 or 3 times more, depending on how much yarn I've got. Okay, just weaving in and out. Oh, I might have enough to do 3. Yeah. There we go. And then trim off whatever you've got. So this is the inside of your hat. What we need to do now is grab the corners and just turn it inside out, poke your corners through on either side. There you go. Right, now we've got room to do a turn up, and if you like, I mean you don't have to, I do, because I prefer to put a little single crochet edge in around this bit, but it's not necessary, it's just something I prefer to do. So the way I do that is I find the edge which we seam together, grab my yarn again, go through that seam that we made with my hook, join my yarn, I wrap my yarn end around and then it locks it in when I do my knot to tie my yarn in. That's nice and secure then. And while the hat's still folded up, because then you know that that's the right side, you just work through, as we did with when we seamed the top, single crochets through the small. Oh, that's a big bit, sorry, through the big, and then the small. Through the big, and then the smaller. Through the big, and the small holes. And so on, all the way until we get back to the other end. And it just gives you a nice seam around the edge of your hat. Lovely single crochet to finish the hat off. I'll carry on round, you keep on going too if this is what you're doing, and I will meet you when we get right round so I can show you how I finish off with an invisible join. Just coming to the end now, so small hole, big hole, and then this last small one. Then what I do to join off is I pull my yarn out, leave a bit for sewing, cut that off, pull it all the way through, get my yarn needle and thread it, and then I work not in this first stitch but in the second one, and I go from back to front and pull it through underneath both loops, and that covers that, and then I go back down the same hole as the stitch is coming out of, and then go all through to the bottom of there and pull that through, give it a tug, and it gives you a nice invisible join. Looks like a stitch from the top, and then I go back through the first stitch at the bottom and then back through that first stitch but underneath the loops. It just neatens it up there, makes it look as though it's a stitch, because if not it leaves a big gap there and I don't like that. And then I push it up under some loops, give it a little knot, there we go, and then just weave in your ends. Do it the same as I did before, tucking it under single crochets, going in one direction and then back in the other, making sure to leave like a stitch so when you're pulling it back it doesn't just pull it out. Back in a slightly different place, pushing it through, tug, switch so it's not puckering, and then one more time in a slightly different place, go in, leave it under a few stitches, and then there we go. Little tug, keep it nice and neat, and snip off your end. And there we go. That's your cat hat complete. Well done. Ready for the winter weather and keeping your head nice and cozy. And there we go. That's our cat-eared beanies finished. I'm so obsessed with them. If you've made one, tag me on Instagram. I really want to see your cute kitty ears. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and pop me a comment below with what you want us to crochet next. Thanks so much for crafting with me today. Bye for now.